Hey bitches, it's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, a car, and a podcast.
It's a guy, car, and a podcast.
Buckle up.
Buckle the fuck up.
Buckle up.
Better fucking buckle up.
I don't know. It was just the vibe of it was a little too complicated for me.
Right.
I wasn't enjoying it as much. So then I kind of bailed on that. But in the midst of doing Jagasses, I just started doing solo episodes of this, which became a Guy, a Car, a podcast. And then over time, just would reach out to other friends and be like, hey, you want to sit down and do a podcast? And okay. And then before I knew it, I sat down with 20 of my friends or something. And then I got hooked up with this website, and they hooked me up with a bunch of people around the country, musicians and a comedian and an actor and all these people that were interested in being on a podcast. And so I did all those, and so the snowball just until it became this thing that I do now.
And here we are on semi 86-ish, we believe.
Something I think so.
Something like that.
86, 87.
Something like 86.
I know, right?
Yay.
But even so, I was just listening to a Joe Rogan podcast today, and he's over 1,000.
Oh.
It's his 10-year anniversary, and I'm like,
it's does anybody really have that much to say? I guess so.
The truth is, and I'm sure
That's
Joe
what
gets this from time to time in tweet form or whatever, I think the trick is that you kind of start saying the same stuff over and over again, even though he's got different guests on, so the conversation goes really anywhere from science to philosophy to comedy to film or whatever. He tends he tends to go back to UFC or just go back to other stuff that he knows.
Same topics, same ideas.
Yeah.
Which to me that makes sense, because the way I view podcasts are sort of a way of life, which, daily life is pretty repetitive, so I think that's going to happen. And, also the sort of podcasts I listen to are more central around one topic, so of course it's going to get somewhat repetitive, but it's sort of most podcasts that I listen to are more ways of life, or I was telling you, I listen to some Buddhist teachers, and so that definitely gets repetitive. I like true crime podcasts. That's kind of my thing.
I've run into a lot of people that are into true crime lately. That's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Everybody likes a fucked up individual. It doesn't get any better than that.
Which is maybe the interesting thing about the fucked upness of true crime is, unless I misunderstand it, what is intriguing about it isn't necessarily the victim or their families, even though that's certainly a subject of it, but it is literally diving into the mind of a serial killer or whoever and trying to unravel the humanity of someone who just comes off as completely inhumane.
I would say that's correct.
Is that it?
Because I have been studying a lot about the fucked upness for over a decade now. So it really does get into the predator. It gets into the fucked up person. And yes, trying to figure out their mind space. And really the question that I've seen come up a lot is, how did you get to be this way?
Yeah.
How did you get to be? What factors in your life combined to make this perfect storm of just craziness? And then the victims are sort of in after. Unfortunately, of course, but it totally is that way.
Does it feel like it's almost like you as the audience, you feel like you have to at some point acknowledge the victims as like some sort of, I don't know if payment's the right word, some kind of like transactional kind of, well, I've taken this time to obsess over this dude who hurt you so bad, so now that I've gotten what I want over here, oh yes, what he did hurt you very bad, and let's make sure you're getting like the recognition you deserve and the reverence and all that.
Very true.
But truthfully, all you really want, you're like, I just want to talk to the psycho. Is that fine? Can we just acknowledge that you were hurt and I'm not interested in that? I want to know like what's in his brain.
And because of that, I do appreciate some of the chicks that I listen to that do the true crime podcast. They do try to make sure that they speak about the victims, or they kind of won't, like if it was a really brutal, terrible thing that happened to them, they won't really go into the details. They'll just, we're here to give you the story, yes, but we're not just going to tear this person's life apart on this podcast just for, the sheer gluttony of it. We're not going to do that. If you really want to know what they did to this poor 7-year-old girl, you can go look it up. That's fine. It gets pretty dark. It gets pretty dark and deep. But then there are some pretty sweet, like, another pair of chicks I like to listen to they like to retell a lot of stories from I Survived. I don't know if you've ever heard of that show. It's okay. So I Survived is pretty much, I think it's on, like, the ID channel or something like that. It's people in these situations that have it's like they should have died in this crazy situation, like got attacked by a bear or ended up stranded on like a boat capsized or something.
No kidding.
Or a freaking serial killer attacked me and I got away, I survived. And there are some pretty insane, very cool stories, and you get to actually enjoy them because I Survived the show. It's the victims, it's the people telling their own story. So it's like, okay, this is you talking about your own shit. I totally get to revel in this. This is great. No guilt at all. It's pretty sweet.
Which makes it, have you at all introspected in the midst of all of this to determine what draws you specifically to tales of kind of like woe and tragedy?
That's an interesting thought. I have a little bit. I grew up with my mom watching lots of Law and Order SVU and Criminal Minds and all those stupid procedurals and the like. And when I was in high school, we had a forensics class offered to us on my campus. So I was all over that, and we ended up having to do a report on like a serial murderer. And I ended up doing Gary Ridgway, who was the Green River Killer. And when you think about it, he was up in the Pacific Northwest.
Okay.
When you think about it, I was probably 16 or 17. Like, late night poring over these books and articles about these awful things. Like, this is pretty deep.
Like on assignment. So like nothing you would at the time voluntarily get into. Like,
on assignment.
Wow.
So it got into me pretty early, I suppose. And I think that if I did have a dream career, I would either want to do something in counseling or do something in law enforcement.
No.
So it kind of jives with me that way, I suppose. I also have yet to really experience very much loss in life. Like, I've got both my parents, I've got both my siblings, I've got most of my grandparents. My grandmother on my mother's side passed about 10 years ago, but all of my extended family is back in Detroit, so it's like I know some of them, but I'm not very close with them. So it's also sort of interesting to me that I work in the business of death too, technically, and I feel like it has something sort of to do with my inexperience on the subject myself. I think that sometimes the things that people are afraid of that they have yet to experience, they sort of do have an attraction to it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if to just sort of be prepared, people like to prepare themselves. Which is silly. There's just some shit we can't prepare for, I believe. You know?
That leads right into one of my questions. Did you already get a beverage for yourself? Are you good with what you got there? Or?
I've got my tea.
You got your tea? You're good to go?
I can switch it up.
Grab my...
I poured for you here. This is your Coke right here, sir. I can be a little bit of a hostess.
What happens here is I don't pay attention to hardly anything.
That's okay.
It's a setup thing. It's like, no, that's great. That's perfect.
Go ahead and grab my...
Yeah, for sure.
Grab myself a little something.
Do it. So,
yes, sir.
You are yourself from Detroit?
My family is, but my dad served Navy, and right before I was born, he got he got sent to San Diego.
Oh, wow.
So I popped out the token Cali kid at the time, the whitewashed baby, while everybody else is from Detroit. Oh, my apologies.
Do it.
So indeed, I was born and raised in San Diego, and spent a couple years in Los Angeles before I came here to Phoenix.
Wow.
Yep.
So...
And cheers. Thank you kindly
This is the
for
cutest
the beverages.
Thank you for...
Appreciate you.
Getting us some atmospheric beverageness. So what portion of time was in San Diego and what portion in Los Angeles? Like how many years were you?
Oh, I left San Diego for Los Angeles when I was 20.
Oh, okay. So you grew up in San Diego then? Okay. I have never been there. I've heard tales that it's just like paradise.
It is.
And
what can you say? I mean, I feel like no matter where you grow up, no matter how great it is, eventually you want to see something else.
Yeah.
You know?
Fair. But Los Angeles
was fun.
Yeah?
I didn't do anything but get into a lot of shit when I was in LA. It was great. I went up there to go to school. I went to Samo Community College for a little bit, Santa Monica Community College, and ended up ditching that because I was offered a body piercing apprenticeship. So I did that for a while. Worked at a tattoo shop for a while.
Wow.
And it was one of my dream jobs for sure growing up. I was always the kid with like a safety pin sticking out here and there.
Wow.
But when it came down to it, it's a lot of self-marketing and advertising, and you're basically in sales. You're on commission. You're not getting hourly pay.
Yeah.
So there were some days that while I was living in Hollywood, my shop was in Venice. So I'm traveling from Hollywood all the way down and over to Venice, and if no body piercings come in that day, I lost money that day for bus fare and because I got lunch. You know, I didn't make any money that day. And after a while that took a toll on me. I realized that I was not about that sort of life. Shop politics got sort of unruly and pulled you away from actually enjoying the work and enjoying the people. But it was a great experience and lots of fun and lots of free ink.
You've got like this incredible image that I feel like is probably the first thing about you that just grabs people. As far as maybe it's just Arizona. Maybe Arizona is just such generally. I don't know, just kind of conservative, just kind of like
I would say so.
Plain bred kind of place that you seem to represent kind of that LA like.
I reek of Cali Kid. I've been told that more than once. I reek of Cali Kid.
But I've also gotten a vibe from you just observing you from a distance that there's some kind of like DJ-ness to you, or like some kind of rave thing going on that I'm like, I'm gonna figure out like where does that come from in her?
You don't know my life. Mr.
I don't
Layla.
know your life at all,
Oh my
but
gosh.
I know what when music comes out of people in certain ways, I'm like, that's not a fan. That's a creator. That's somebody who has had their fingers so in the dough of this that I guess I just watch a lot of DJs. I am like a faux DJ myself, but like there's something about the way that you move to music, the way that you behave. Like, not only just how welcoming you are, but also like,
see me groove and sway.
Like, when you hit our department, I, for months, was just, anytime you'd be walking by, just kind of drinking it in and being like, am I right about this? So there was always kind of some place where I'm like, I wonder if I can get her on the podcast. I wonder if I can figure this out once and for all.
I grew up playing music. I grew up in the visual and performing arts. He's looking at that was my first drum set that my parents got me when I was back in high school. I started with the clarinet in 3rd grade, and then in 4th grade I was in the VPA, the Visual and Performing Arts. We put on like Broadway status shows. There was a 4th, 5th, and 6th grade class, and we would put on 2 legitimate shows per year, like do our own backdrops and costumes and rehearsals all day in, day out. It was a great time, and then I did continue with music as well, switched over to the trumpet, switched over to percussion.
Wow.
And
what genre are we talking about that would involve those instruments?
Just in school band. Like when I was doing like clarinet and trumpet.
Whatever, yeah. Like
concert
standards.
band and standard stuff. But we had some fun. We would pull out like Pirates of the Caribbean and bring in the strings class and just kind of go in on it. And it ended up actually being some really powerful, beautiful music that even at like 12 years old, I was band president in middle school. And when the instructor would be out, I would get to lead the class. So we're like, all right, you guys want to do pirates? Let's do pirates. And even then, directing the group through that sort of music, I could feel how much it meant to me and my soul and my young 12 or 13-year-old soul. There was something seriously there that really grabbed me. So I did continue. My parents got me a drum set. I like to do little indie beats, little regular just rock beats. I got a double kick down there. I do throw down a little bit of metal and hardcore and screamo type jives.
Wow.
Yeah.
In that you were actually in bands or groups that did all that stuff, or you were just doing it all on your own?
On my own mostly, but there would be groups of kids that, like, there were a few chicks that we all linked up and kind of had, like, this chick band thing going on for a while that was absolutely nothing. Or I would get in on, like, dude friends who had groups that were actually pretty serious about their music, and they would let me fiddle with them a little, but mostly it was for my own enjoyment, my own peace, and just going to my garage at home, cranking some tunes up and just replaying and trying to figure out whatever tune it was that I heard. I want to be able to play that. I did the same thing with the guitar and with the bass when I was younger too. Never really fully learned, just kind of dibbled and dabbled for my own mental space. Yeah.
I mean, you are a creature of self-expression in the sense that it just, I mean, it's literally on your skin. Like it's so part of the image that is you, which, just for myself, creating like an image that is me, it's an outward expression of like what like the vibe that I want to put into the universe, like how I want to present myself, and thus how I want to be like taken by people, and sort of how I want to be treated by them. And I have to assume that there's some creative, expressive something that you're into based on the fact that you present in such a way that you present as an obvious creator. So I wonder how that, like, do you not?
I don't.
Is it just the image itself that you enjoy? Like it just feels right and good and nice that you're just like, yeah, this is who I am, man. Drink it up.
I suppose it's just, I don't know. I guess this is my creativity in itself. My experiences, my mindsets, my growth are the only ways that I feel I'm creative anymore as an adult. And yeah, this is just stuff I've picked up along the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there, I mean, you talked about different projects and dabblings and things outside of maybe the body art and the tattoo parlor and what have you, which sounds like at one point in time it was something you were probably really into, but then like you said, the politics and just sort of balancing that got a little much to chew on. Is there something artistic or creative that you have like a lifelong passion for? Is there something that maybe you're not even doing it right now, but you're like, you know what, I do need to get back to that, and that is such a big part of who I am? And
if anything, it's music.
Yeah?
I stare at that drum set every day. I ended up having to stop playing. I got some sort of like tendon carpal tunnel type thing right before I moved to LA, actually, when I was like 19 or 20. So I haven't actually been able to play for some time, and it does break my heart on the daily. I consider just setting that puppy up and just screw my neighbors and go you know? I think about it, but we'll see. Maybe one day. And I do, it's funny that you mentioned a DJ kind of thing.
Yeah.
There have been a couple events at work that I have DJ'd.
Tell me about this. I got the impression hearing you talk to some agents that was going on. I'm like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, that's a thing. So at the job, when the agents come out to do the golf tournament every year, there's a meet and greet. Okay. And one year, I think it was the first year I was with the company that the meet and greet was going on, and I went up to our Mr. Matt London, his very self. Because I'm listening to like the music and it's really low and really lame and everybody's just kind of humbug and shoving drinks down their throats, you know? So I kind of went up to Mr. Matt London like, hey guy, what's going on with the music? And he was like, follow me. Takes me over to the little booth where everything is set up. And he's like, yeah, this is it, kid, do whatever. This is the volume. You can put your phone in here. Have fun. Bye. And I did. I kind of threw together a little. That night it was really just off the brain, kind of thinking, what can I throw in here that's gonna bring everybody together? And it happened. I had like a whole two-step following at one point, dancing to the, what is it? I think it's the Cupid two-step or something like that.
Cupid shuffle.
The Cupid shuffle. There was a bunch of that kind of stuff going on. Threw in some Michael Jackson and some Prince and some of my own. You touched on a little bit. There's a little bit of a raper in me from back in the day. Had to throw a little bit of that in there. And just was tossing everything that came out of me, and he set me up with the microphone. Once they were done with the microphone, I had a little dance off go on between one of the agents and one of our actually now managerial staff.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, had a little dance off going. Had people coming up and taking requests and shit. It was a blast. So ever since that day, every April when April comes around, Matt London hits me up like, hey, you down? Are we doing this? What's going on?
Wow.
What are you doing? So,
and that hasn't led to anything like outside of the office and people being like, hey, why don't you come? Or
no.
Wow. Do you want it to? Do you like DJing?
I think it would be a blast. That is something that I've always kind of thought, I would like to learn some audio engineering. That sounds like something I could really get into. I'm shit with follow through.
Which begs the question, you live your life, your place is very well thought out and very well set up. Like, you you have vision. I mean, again, even back to the tattoos, back to the piercings, back to the way you have a vision. What do you think it is that, like, I mean, in other words, there are ideas. It's clear that you have very well-formed ideas of who you want to be, what you want to do, what you want to pursue. Is it, I mean, you mentioned, like, with music, like, carpal tunnel got in the way a little bit. Like, is it, have you faced, like, some major disappointments that have just sort of, like, made you feel like if you do pursue something, like, it's just going to be taken away from you?
I hear what you're saying. Gosh. I believe that there have been times when I was younger that I did want to reach out for something, take a risk, try to spread my wings and fly. And there have been times where I was kind of batted down. I would have to say there have been. And I think that especially when you're younger, those sort of experiences, the insecurity that puts into you at such a young age does keep you as an adult from thinking, yeah, I'm going to take this risk. And no matter what happens, even if it doesn't work out, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's something that comes from a lot of security as you've grown. At least that's what I feel. I do think that I'm pushing through and working through a lot of that.
Good.
I love my therapist. She's incredible.
That's good.
And I do think that there are a lot of things that I've worked through in the past 2 or 3 years that do give me a little bit of my own strength and security back.
Yeah.
Now it's just a kind of a matter of, well, what do I want to do, world?
Yeah, once your tank is full again, it's like, all right, now where do we point the car?
Exactly.
I mean, did coming to Arizona have anything to do with that in the sense of, like, going to a place that wouldn't ask anything of you in that way?
That's you mean being the cultural wasteland that this place has become?
That's
kind
a
of thing?
Brilliant way of putting that. I mean, I grew up here, so I've, you know, as I've gotten into rock and stuff in, like, you know, the 90s, and then I got into, like, the early punk scene in the 2000s and stuff when there was one here, like, I feel like I've seen some of the best parts of, like, the underground of what Arizona's had to offer, but for the most part, it is just this really depraved place artistically. And yeah, I'm curious if, like, you came here because you're like, I can just disappear into Arizona.
I came here because life in LA, although it was so very much fun, it wasn't sustainable.
Wow.
And I grew to the point of being like, you know what? It was actually the holidays 5 years ago that I was here visiting, seeing my family for, like, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of looked around at my family and my little nephew and was like, man, I'm kind of missing out. Everybody's kind of migrated over here. My whole family's right here. I'm back in LA, stressing and struggling, trying to make it happen out there. Yeah. And that's kind of not really me. Like, I know that that's, as you're saying, that's kind of what I exude, is a little bit of that. Yeah. That LA, I'm gonna make it out here. So that's not me. I want a stable job. I want a secure job. I want to be able to provide for myself and be stable and independent and just kind of, not have to do shit. Except really work on myself and my own self-growth and being available and a positive influence on the people who are important to me. That's where my creativity comes out now, I believe, is in working on myself, my self-growth, and just being a skillful person in my small community.
Yeah. I mean, out of curiosity, although I think there's some pretty major ways I can relate to that, because I was brought up, like, conservative, religious, Christian, Mormon specifically. Right. And so all I was ever really brought up to do was grow up, devote my life to the faith, find a nice girl who also did the same,
Right.
join with her, make a family, and then just, make sure those kids don't, I don't know, start World War III and then die someday. Like the expectations of my life were just that simple. Like,
Yep.
you're just, go
Get
to
the
church
point
every
where you
week and
can die
da-da-da-da.
comfortably.
But, I veered off of my own point. In that, I found this different culture in my teenage years, the rock and roll thing, and so I started to kind of, glue that on myself and started to kind of, try that on for size.
Mm-hmm.
I saw how that impacted my relationships with, specifically, the teenage girls and stuff that exist in this different community and culture that don't have any appreciation for those sets of values and that, liberal world.
Right.
And so it created this weird strain that I spent a decade being very confused by.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm wondering, my point in saying all that is, in that you came to where you are now to sort of pursue, I guess the simple life, if we could just throw a label on it.
Totally.
Your expressivity, I wonder if, as a single person dating, whatever, if that has attracted people to you who expect something specific from you because of the look, that then once they get to know you, they're just like, wait a minute, what is June Cleaver doing inside of this screen? What's happening here? Is that
I would say is sort of spot on. I mean, I don't know, dating experiences outside of being in this body.
Yeah.
But picking up on what you're saying,
Uh-huh.
I would say absolutely. People
Wow.
see the packaging, don't really expect what's actually in here. They don't. So I do get a lot of fuckboys
Yikes.
who are thinking they're just gonna, come hit it and quit it, or very argumentative types, very rambunctious types.
Yeah.
And it's I'm just really looking for somebody that has their shit together, is a kind of decent guy, and can hang out and spend some time getting to know each other.
Yeah.
But that's not really the sort of cats that I have that approach me. Not at all.
Has that at all caused you to think about making changes? Has it ever, I guess, deterred you in any way from the frustrations of those experiences? Has it ever pushed your buttons so hard that you were just you know what, fuck this? Never. You're just you know what? Not him. He's not the right one. Let's just go ahead and file him and just keep walking forward. Wow.
I'm very forgiving in the dating life in that sense of, you know what, for whatever reason, this isn't working. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. We're just not for each other.
That's beautiful. I'm way too codependent for that. I would just I take it personally every time somebody leaves, and I spend the months after they're gone, making it all about me.
Oh, yeah.
And analyzing it from the perspective of, let's figure out all the reasons that you're a piece of shit and didn't deserve them, and they did the smart thing walking away.
Or vice versa. All the reasons that she was a piece of shit and didn't deserve me.
There's a level of confidence in that I aspire to. I'm trying to, climb that mountain and be like, no, she was wrong.
There you go.
And I'm, almost there. But then, I feel actually maybe in the last couple of months, I've kind of gotten to what I think is maybe one of, the peaks of that mountain.
Ooh.
And it's, on one level, it's nice, because there's kind of this confidence that's starting to sink in, which I enjoy. But on another level, I feel having now gotten the confidence to say, hey, she missed out. You're an incredible dude. And she kept walking because she thought she could find greener grass. And someday she's going to wake up and realize that she passed the greenest grass and that she just didn't have the courage to, like, commit to it.
Totally.
But then I can't help but, like, assume that into all future interactions. Like, when I meet a woman and when I start to like her, I'm just like, okay, but your experience has shown you that all these chicks are looking for greener grass. Like, it's almost like back in the day when I fall for somebody, I usually fall quick. I know within maybe 3 conversations with a person that I know I'm in love, and I'm also usually, like, I don't know, like, impetuous enough to just tell them flat out the gate and what have you.
Right.
But now, I feel like I've really got my seatbelt really fastened.
Ooh.
And it's making it uncomfortable for me to, like, move forward and to, like, continue relationships with women because it feels kind of like I'm being false. Only because I'm not used to this version of me. I know what it looks like when I commit to somebody or when I'm, like, ready to push my chips in.
Right.
And because I'm not doing that on purpose, trying to, like, let it develop more healthily, I feel like I'm messing it up. Like she's just gonna drift away or leave at some point because she's not seeing this thing that I know I'm capable of. In my head, I see what she could be getting, but because I haven't, like, just unleashed, the dragon, she's getting a version of me that she's probably fine with and she's probably super happy and she's like, what a great guy. But I can't help but thinking that she has to be disappointed because this other thing is available. I don't know if that makes sense.
It makes absolute sense. It makes so much sense that it's actually taking me back to someone that I dated probably 2 or 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
And it was that same sort of, there was definitely an immediate spark.
Yeah.
It was definitely there. But I was at a point in my dating and relationship life that I know I'm the super nice chick. I'm very thoughtful and loving and giving and also love hard and love strong very quickly.
Wow.
But I was at a point then that I felt that I had been wronged or taken advantage of or hurt so many times that I thought, well, I'm not going to be that chick anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the super, cut off, put on the armor, and just be the bad bitch,
Yes,
that's what
I know
I'm
exactly
gonna
what
do.
you're talking about.
So, I met this person, and, it's hitting off really well, and I'm trying to be the bad girl, even though that's totally not me, because it's a mask I'm trying to use to protect myself.
Yes.
Then things actually keep going and progressing pretty well, and I'm like, but wait, there's the whole other me that's the actual true me that I haven't let out yet. I don't know which me this person actually wants to see. Am I ruining this? Am I ruining this by trying to be this bad chick? Or should I let I've gotten in over my head at this point, trying to be this person that I know I'm really not, trying to protect myself, and now I'm just in this whole mess. So, long story short, totally get what you're getting at.
It's almost like jumping out of an airplane, where, like, our only experience is that we jumped out of an airplane and we've only waited like 3 seconds and we pulled the chute and then we just have like a nice float to the ground.
Right.
Whereas we've jumped out of the airplane and we've decided not to pull the chute. We're just going to fall for a minute, but because we've never done that before, now we don't know. Like, what is the moment when you pull the chute before I, like, hit the ground? Like, where... And if I pull the chute, like, am I just going to get jerked because now, like, I'm going too fast? Like, it's a whole different experience.
Totally.
And now I'm so scared to fuck it up that I'm not doing anything.
That was an
like, I'm just,
metaphor.
like, continuing to, like, engage on a daily basis and just continuing to be social and talk to the person. And basically, like, as hard as they'll hit the ball to me across the net, I'll hit it exactly that hard back to them. But I won't do that thing that I normally do where I'm just, like, coming in and just giving them, like, my best game from the beginning.
Right.
And I don't know how to move the game forward now. Where it's like, I can't I don't have sufficient control where I can gradually increase speed.
Right.
I can go from right where we are to my best game. But if you, on the other side of that net, if you continue to increase, like, whatever, I can match you all day long. And so you can, you know, evolve us to the point where maybe we're, like, in this serious committed thing. But then I'm just like, that's not their job. Like, where's my responsibility in this?
I feel like it's not your job either, because what that sounds like to me is you are watching this other person's reactions and responses to you more than you're actually giving yourself a fair chance to be who you truly want to be. That's not fair to you, Adam.
I agree with you, but every time prior to this that I've just, like, given me... In the analysis, in the post-relationship analysis where I blamed it all on me, one of the conclusions that I've drawn that I don't think is inaccurate is that me giving my all so upfront actually flooded the engine. Like, it drowned the relationship. Even if the thing lasted like 9 months or a year or something, like, it created a problem up front that even she didn't know was a problem. Because what ends up happening is all of her expectations and all of her wishes and all of her dreams of a relationship are met so aggressively up front that she can't help 6 months to a year in to be like, wait, was that it?
Right.
It's like having the best orgasm the first time you have sex with somebody, and now all the rest of the sex isn't bad sex.
Oh.
But it wasn't that sex. Like, you just give it so hard up front that of course they're gonna, like, Weezer has this great lyric about, like, in this, what is the song called? Perfect Situation, where he's talking about, like, get your hands off the girl, can't you see she belongs to me, and I don't appreciate this excess company, though I can't satisfy all the needs she has, and so she starts to wander, can you blame her? Like, there's that, where it's like, I've come so hard up front that at some point, I don't have anything left to impress you with. I've given you the whole load up front, and now I've assassinated our relationship in the most bleed out way possible. That neither of us even knew that I did it until like 6+ months down the road.
Yes.
And I'm scared of that. Even holding back, even though I've been talking to this person for like 2 months or whatever, like at some point I'm like, if I just just do that thing that I do, and if I let it all go, is it going to have the same consequences? Because it's impossible to come on that strong with anybody and to not get to some point where now the relationship needs work in a different way, because you got to, like, find affection for each other. Yeah, you gotta find the other gears. That's exactly right.
There are a couple of things that I can totally get in on that.
Yeah.
The first thing that comes to mind is you're saying, give it all, drop the heaviest load, so to speak, right off the bat, and then after maybe a few months, it's like, okay, now where are we?
Yeah.
And also you were mentioning I have nothing left to impress you with.
That's a very codependent thing. Like, it's my job to, like, impress her. Yeah.
It's not only dabbling into the codependent area, but it also makes me wonder, what is it that you look for in women that you date? Because if you are looking for someone to impress or someone that impresses you, that's dopamine. That's straight up. We're talking drugs now. We're talking drugs that our bodies make now.
Yeah.
You meet someone and you have that spark, that excitement, that fire, that impressiveness between you. That's dopamine, and that shit wears off. You get into a relationship with someone purely based on dopamine, it'll be over in 3 months. That's that spark fading.
Yeah.
That oh shit, now what do we do?
Yeah.
That's because dopamine has gone, and there probably hasn't been much work done in the way of serotonin, which may not be as strong and as dopamine is, but it is longer lasting. Dopamine, again, 3 months, boom, you're out of here. Serotonin can last for years and years. So what I look for when I'm dating people isn't that being impressed or excited or the spark. I look for the feeling of comfort and the feeling of being at home with someone. That calm feeling, that serotonin, that's something that can last. When you've got to impress each other to no end, you're not really enjoying each other. You're kind of trying to figure out how to one-up each other.
Yeah.
In a way.
That's super true.
You know? So
So, okay. I like this a lot. And actually, I feel like I've even been in therapy multiple times. I feel like you have suggested something to me now that is brand new information. So, and is super true. Like, I know how true. Basically, you just said something, and it's one of those things that explained my life experiences, where like all of them just like flash back before my head. I'm like, aha, that's exactly right. Where it becomes complicated for me is, I think my like addictive personality, the part of me that, when I listen to music, for example, I didn't even realize it until my ex pointed it out in this really interesting analogy. So basically, she went on a this like week-long kayaking trip with some friends, where they like kayak down the river and set up camp and, you know, go for a hike and drag their kayak across quarter mile and throw it back in the river. And
who knows why anyone wants to do that, but hey.
She was adventurous. But she would talk about like the difference between like the adrenaline rush of the rapids and the times where like the water's basically not even pushing them along. Like it's so clear and it's so clean, and they have to like row along.
Okay.
And at some point, I guess she and I were just talking about music, because she and I connected a lot over music, although we would have like kind of musical arguments where she'd try to tell me why emo, like Alkaline Trio or Jimmy Eat World, or this whole area of music is great.
Never get on Jim. I will always love them. Forever.
I'm a fan as well, but I have specific issues and things that I enjoy talking about, because it's interesting just intellectually connect with people like that. I'm more of like your Foo Fighters kind of guy. It's more lyrical prowess and hooks and very, very specifically written songs that are meant to like connect with you in a pop sense, but also maybe drop some, I don't know, something new that you haven't heard before. Whereas emo to me just feels like it's purposely off the tracks. Like it's trying to just get like brand new and all these different bands that are just trying to like blaze a new path out into the woods. And so I get bored of those trails really quick. But what she pointed out, she caught it and saw it in me and pointed out, she's like, you know, with you, music for you is like, or the music that you like is such an emotional experience that it's harrowing. And the issue I think that you're having is, like me, there's the adrenaline rush of the rapids, and then there's just kind of the calm serenity of just still waters. And she's like, some music is the adrenaline rush of the rapids.
Right.
And some music, Tom Petty, Neil Young, whatever, is just the still waters. Like, it's not out to grab your attention. It's not the Rolling Stones. It's not out to impress you. It's just kind of a jam. It's just something to listen to. It's something to be there. And she's like, there's no value difference between the two of them. They're actually both equally valuable, just in different ways. But with you, Adam, you've gotten so used to the fact that music can just get you off that that's all you look for. If a song cannot get you off by the end of that 4 minutes, you're going to pass it by, and you're not going to listen to it again, or if you do, you'll just put it on the background and whatever.
Right.
And so based on that, like, I mean, I've treated food this way, I've treated, I guess, women to some degree this way. Like, I have this addicted personality where I just want to get to the orgasm, to the great feeling, to the dopamine. Get there.
Right.
So when I meet somebody, even in situations where it's not just like an immediate physical attraction and I just already want to, like, you know, get our clothes off and stuff, even in the moments where it's just comfortable, there's some piece of me that in the enjoying of the comfortableness, I'm like, can we do the dopamine now? Like, I'm so anxious to, like, have that fun inside of something that's already comfortable. But the more I get older, I realize that, like, but that could really fuck shit up. if you dive into that like too quick, it
Right.
can like disturb the water, and now and I don't know, maybe get a ball rolling that isn't healthy to be rolling at this point.
Right.
I don't have like the addictiveness of me. I don't have a barometer that can tell me when it's a good time
Yes.
to like shift into that gear. And then again, it's what I'm just supposed to like put that on her. That's her responsibility to figure out where the brakes should be. And all. I don't know.
It gets awkward in that sense of, okay, I realize my pattern now.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I can see what's going on. I realize my patterns. Now what the fuck do I do with that?
Yeah,
What am I
exactly.
actually supposed to do with that information?
Yeah.
Like, do I try to be this person who I'm not? Do I try to take things in a different direction than I usually do? What if this is actually that one super special person and I'm out here doing all these experiments and I really could have just been being myself the whole time? It gets
Fate
awkward.
and fairy tales, dude. That fucks with me a lot.
I don't believe in fate or fairy tales.
I've only recently started to let go of that, but I've spent most of my life believing
I don't believe
the
in
one
like
and
a
all that
soulmate.
shit. Yeah.
I've gotten to the point where that's like, let's get rid of that thought.
Only because
Disney
it can't be
is
true,
lying
right?
to
Like,
us.
has your life experience just proved to you that it can't be true, or is there something else that caused you to kind of get off that train?
I, for example, this past summer was quite depressed over the ending of a relationship that I had that ended like last year around this time.
Oh, wow.
Now, so many people, my friends and family, all wanted to say, oh, he wasn't the one. It wasn't meant to be. If he was the one, you would still be together. Blah, 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 blah. All of that shit, it wasn't meant to be. It was I'm not a very religious person, but it was in God's plan or it wasn't in God's plan. All of that to me, honestly, is just, those are Band-Aids. Those are Band-Aids to make people feel better.
Yeah.
Rather than just dealing with the fact that, oh, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Now let me just be with that.
Yeah.
And see how that feels and kind of soothe myself through it to the
Which is
other
very
side.
Buddhist, yeah. Like, be with the pain. The pain
Absolutely.
yeah.
So instead of, just kind of bypassing it with this, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be. No, there's actually some shit that you could learn in there. And this particular gentleman, no, I actually think that some shit just was really screwed up and fucked up during it.
Yeah.
But it's been almost a year now, and I still think, we actually probably could have been really good together.
Oh, wow.
We could have been really neat together. But it's something that I've had to just soothe myself through, work it out, and get past it. But I'll never take to the, well, it wasn't meant to be. No, actually, I think it could have been great. But it just sucks, and that's okay. Anywho, no, I've gotten us off of
No, you haven't.
the track we were on. Either way, talking about the barometer. What do I do with this information?
Yes.
For me, that's where needs and boundaries come in.
Yeah.
That's where I love my therapist.
Boundaries.
This is for you, Ashley. Needs and fucking boundaries have saved my life in the dating realm so that I don't there's so much rejection and just experiences that you think are going one way and end up going another way, or you think are vice versa, and it can get tough being in the dating world, especially with all the dating apps and whatnot that we all use these days. It's just a person. It's a skin vending machine. Freaking
in all of
this
its
is the one
forms. I mean, you can make, from Tinder to Match.com, you can make a case for how they're all different. They're not.
Not.
Somebody just said something on our podcast the other day that blew my mind about dating apps. They're like, the problem with dating apps is that, dating, going out in the world and trying to find somebody that you're interested in and that's interested in you takes effort.
Right.
It takes a lot of energy and planning and all sorts of shit. Dating apps take all of the effort out of it, which is why dating apps for the most part don't work.
Right.
Because what's happening is when someone gets on a dating app, what they're not even saying out loud to themselves, but what they're engaging in is, I'm not ready to date, but I'm lonely, so I'm going to go in here. And I'm going to get that dopamine. I'm just going to get some bullshit,
Absolutely.
who cares, whatever connection.
Absolutely.
And who cares what they wanted? Who cares what the other person on the other side of this app, what their intentions were getting into this app and how ready they were? I'm not ready for anything, so I'm just going to go in the surface bullshit level. And in hearing them say that, I was like, because I'm like talking to somebody that I met on a dating app, and we've been talking quite a bit. It just made me really realize, oh fuck, like, yeah, I'm so like, kind of, I guess not really hung up anymore. It has been a long time, but I don't know that I have really completely processed some old like hurts and really gotten enough out of that where, I guess what I'm saying is, I don't see a situation where somebody out there would be incredible enough that I would fall in love with them.
Gotcha.
Because the love that I fell in previously was so big for me, so connected, so completing, that when that went away, like I spent the whole first year not even just like bothering with talking to anybody or trying to engage with anything, because I was just like, no, there's not another human on this fucking earth. There's not another fish in this sea that was that good. So fuck it. And then I spent the better part of the second year, which has been this last year, being like, okay, you're a social mammal. There's no way you can go through the rest of your life not having some physical or intellectual contact with another ape.
Right.
If that's the case, what does that mean? Because your heart still says there's not going to be another one. You still believe that. And then I was like, I guess it means I'm just a puddle hopper now. Like, I'm just a guy that's just going to, like, just kind of have a good time and date around and whatever. But then, like, with this particular girl, like, I guess I've gotten the impression that she's just been so impressed by my candor. Because even though, you know, like, there could be sexting and there could be some fun, like, overall, I'm a gentleman. Like, I'm a really nice guy. So I think that's so impressive that I think I get the feeling maybe she's leaning in quite a bit.
Oh.
And after thinking about this, what this guy said on the podcast, and, like, looking at myself, I'm like, I don't think, I know that I'm not, and I don't know if I will lean in that way. And so then I'm like, well, fuck, is this unfair? Or does anybody who downloads one of these fucking apps, like, do you even maybe subconsciously sign a contract that says, hey, it's probably just going to be a bunch of dumpy fucking humans that I'm going to, like, run into? I don't know if we all acknowledge that, even subconsciously enough, that I can write it off and be like, you know what, I'm just going to let this go as far as she'll let this go, and when she's fucking done, I'll be like, that's cool, and just keep paddling along. It's a fair thing, and I don't really believe in fair, but that's the best word I can think to use, where, like, am I being fair to her? And she's got kids, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to, like...
Kids is tough.
Yeah.
Even from a female perspective.
Right.
There's a lot of dudes hit me up who have kids. And I don't have kids, I have no kids, never been married, so for me it's like, that's just a whole new... I mean...
Yeah.
That?
Yes. Yeah.
Does this matter? Does it not? I don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know what we're doing.
At all.
What are we doing? I think...
Just trying to get laid and watch a little Netflix, right? Is that it? Is that all we're trying to get out of life?
I mean, in some, I think it is, to me, fairness to me is, unfortunately, outside of this area, my home, my space, fairness is, unfortunately, not very real. No. I believe in fairness, and I believe in trying to be a fair human being. So in these dating app situations, I try to be upfront about what my intentions are. I try to be upfront about my needs and boundaries.
Yeah.
There are no needs or boundaries that are incorrect or wrong or too much or too little in any sense. So I just try to be true to myself and fair to myself in that sense, so that I'm not letting myself get strung along by any fucking schmo that comes along and tries to get my attention.
Yeah.
You know, so there will be, for example, there was a fella who I was talking to for a bit. He seemed like a really nice guy.
Yeah.
He had some great ideas and thoughts and an interesting view on life that I appreciated. And then the day that we were going to actually meet up and hang out, I think we'd been talking for maybe a week. We were going to hang out like that weekend.
Yeah.
And he pretty much dumps on me in text format that he doesn't have a job, doesn't have a car, borrows his grandmother's car, and doesn't even not have his own home. He lives with his parents, but not only does he live with his parents, he hops between his biological and adoptive parents' homes. So basically, he's just got really nothing going on for himself. You know, and it's like
young, dumb, and full of cum.
We all, and don't even get me started there, because this dude's like 31,
Oh,
okay?
shit.
And there are like younger dudes who are hitting me up that have more shit together than that cat did, but I'm just like, you're 21, darling. I'm so sorry, you're so cute, but bye. But yeah, that makes you think. You come across a 31-year-old fellow who's like, when we met, he was like, yeah, you know, I've been taking care of myself and of my own things for, you know, the past year or so, and really feeling like I'm taking care of myself. I think I could take care of another person too, and, you know, find that connection and build. And I'm like, that all sounds primo. I'm digging it. Then 6 days later, you don't have shit together. Like, you pretty much just lied to my screen.
Yeah.
For this past week,
Yeah.
basically, is what you're telling me. And
Purposely.
So you've been getting in good.
I'll
with
feed
all
you what you want to hear, what I think I know you want to hear.
Yeah, and now I'm gonna drop it on you. Yeah, once I get in the door, then I'm just gonna, you know, let it all drip, let it all hang out. But I have boundaries and needs in myself that say, you know what? As me 3 or 4 years ago may have still been like, well, but he was so nice. I'm still gonna just, let's see where this might. Maybe he'll get a job sooner. I don't know. But me
it's a woman
today,
thing. She can fix that, man.
We think we can fucking fix it. We think we can fucking fix it, and we can't. And I'm at that point in my life where I realize, no, I can't fix a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Unless it has to do with myself. I'm great at that. I'm great at monitoring myself and preparing myself for change or what have you. But you're not going to change any of these schmoes that you meet on these fucking apps. So while me 3-4 years ago may have tried to see what can happen, me now just said, you know, that's it. He ended up saying something like, oh, you know, my life and my family are all a huge mess. If you wanted to end up bailing, even if we just became friends. I was like, hey, you know, even the best people have a hard time sorting the toxicity and drama out of their lives. I totally understand that.
Yeah.
But for me and what I'm looking for in a partner right now, that's not going to cut it, buddy. I'm so sorry. But yes, I'm totally willing to be your friend. Never heard from him again after that. He didn't want a friend. He wanted to come move into my fucking place, probably. No disrespect. But, you know, it's tough because everybody's out there in these apps with their own agendas and their own intentions, and me being the very honest and upfront and kind person that I am, fair person that I am, I got nothing to fucking hide. This is what you get. This is me right here. Ask me whatever you want. I'm an open book. But it takes a lot for me to realize everybody aside from you pretty much lies, Crystal. Lots of people are prone to lying, prone to beefing themselves up so they look better or trying to diminish things that they don't. And I'm sure I do that too, you know, in some way or another.
Sure.
But everybody's out here fabricating exactly what they want someone to see. And I mean, in that sense, honestly, yeah, sometimes I do just kind of want to drop the mic. Like, it's tough to find just a decently honest and fair individual to hang out and spend time with, it gets tough. But somebody's out there. There are cool dudes out there. I'm sure of it. If not, I'll just go back to chicks. Eventually.
I have to imagine, like, in the vein of, like, the issues of, I guess, like, attracting the kind of partner that you're talking about, but an intellectual and emotionally available, equal.
Yes.
Like, you're a very sexy, like, vivacious, like, just externally, I have to imagine that especially in the dating app sense, attracts a very specific crowd who in that there's probably a smaller percentage of like the value of a man that you're looking for.
True.
And I'm curious, like, does that mean you just spend a lot of your time batting away, like, all of the nonsense and all the bullshit? Because it probably presents itself right up front. Like, I don't know, just the dick pics or any of the nonsense you gotta deal with. And, like, how do you talk about boundaries and stuff, like, I mean, is your bullshit meter on, like, the whole time for the first few months, waiting for them to, like, stumble over a lie or some bullshit so you can be like, yeah, I knew you were an idiot? And
I would, so we're saying in the sense of, okay, I've swiped upon the person that actually is somewhat decent enough that I'm going to actually spend time with you and date you and see...
Which in and of itself, when you say decent, although maybe there was some information on the profile that was interesting, a good portion of the reason that you're swiping up is because they look nice, because they're attractive. Same reason that they're swiping up on you. Like, you're not just like, I'm not even looking at his looks, I just really enjoy his profile. Like, the looks are a part of it.
I read the profile, but yeah, looks are
For
part
sure,
of it.
for sure.
Shit.
For
We
sure.
all have our preferences, and we are all, they're not rules, they're preferences. We are all allowed. But getting to that point of, okay, yeah, I'm going to spend some time with you. It's been a few months down the line. Is my bullshit meter just full force? Am I fucking in the van with my headphones on, just like, okay, today's the day, I'm going to hear some shit. I would say not so much. I believe that I'm understanding and forgiving enough to know that there are some things that people are just not proud of, or that people are embarrassed or very insecure about, especially people who have had to hold those things, hide those things, hold them in, or, you know, shit that as a kid they were kind of frowned upon because of some stupid shit. Like, you know, they're things that, are going to come out eventually. And I try my damnedest not to react to those things or, you know, blow it out of proportion and, oh, well, shit, there it is. There's the bullshit. I'm out of here. No, I try to take whatever information it is and take a little bit of time to process, okay, how serious is this really? Is it really that serious to where I should be rethinking this person? No. Okay, we can talk about it. Let them know that they can talk to me about shit, that I'm not going to fly off the handle, and move on. If it is something a little bit more serious that affects me or those needs or boundaries that I have, then it's just about conversation. It's about communication for me. Once we're into that point, because it's inevitable. You get to know someone, some dirty little stuff is going to come out. Whether it's, you know, I think everybody has a different level of things that are normal to them that they can handle. So something that you're hiding that you think is such a big deal, I find out, I might go, that's not a big deal at all, sweetheart, that's fine. Like, we can actually, do you want to talk about that? Because I've got some shit I can totally relate to you on that. It's okay. You don't have to, and I've more than once in a relationship had a person go, oh shit, like, you make me feel like I'm actually okay. Like, being me who I am is actually okay. And that's what I think is beautiful in a relationship, is feeling like, I can actually let the bullshit hang out. And somebody say, oh, no, I can relate to that too. You're fine. Come over here, baby. That's all good. Like, we're fine. Let's turn on the Netflix. We're chilling. Let's make a deal. If there are things that are, bigger or something that I cannot handle.
Yeah.
Either it's something that, well, hey, is that something you're willing to work out or phase out of your life or whatever? If not, that's okay. You go do you. I can't handle that. I'm going to go do this. Yeah. It was such a pleasure getting to know you while I did, but I don't think it's going to work out for me. I try to not blow shit up all the time. It's been a really long road getting to that point. But we're just all out here, dating or not, just interpersonally, one person to another, to any other person on the street. We're all just out here trying to do our best, trying to live our best lives. Yeah. So it's not my prerogative, it's not my job, it's not my style to make somebody feel badly about themselves. It's that simple for me. I have no reason, especially someone who has opened up to me, who I've had some sort of emotional or physical intimacy with. I'm not trying to tear you down. That's not my job. That shouldn't be anybody's job, to try to tear another down. Yeah. We should be building each other up. Even if you're not for me, hey, I'm really sorry that you're going through that, or that you're doing that, or that's the way that you want to live your life. As long as you're happy, I'm happy if you are. I've got to go be happy over here. You never have to be an asshole. You can always be kind and say what you need to say.
Which is so balanced and healthy. And as I'm hearing you describe that, I'm thinking to myself, my own interactions with a community that sounds like similar to what you were dealing with in LA, as far as, I guess, stereotypically speaking, the types of people that I know that tend to get into like body art and that sort of thing. I feel like there's a lot of therapy in that. I think they're trying to either run away from or even maybe just deal with some of their demons within that frame. So I have to imagine, working in the industry, that's the majority of what you would absorb from people. I imagine everybody just wanted to come in there and tell their whole story while you were doing your work, and then you're just sitting there just absorbing shit all day long, and then you gotta go put that somewhere, I guess.
The actual artist that I worked with, the shop that I worked at, I'm very lucky to say that it was all, for the most part, people who had their shit together. This is just their art, this is their talent, their job, what they choose to do. But the incredibly tattooed and pierced people that you see on the street, especially in LA, that you're thinking are going to be kind of the scum of the earth looking type people, those are the cleanest, fucking, most caring, hygienic, decent people that I've met. Some of those cats that I hung out with in that shop.
Wow.
As far as the clients who would come in, we do get a lot of people. We would get a lot of people who, well, I want to get this tattoo because this means this. And the tattoo, I was never a tattoo artist. I was a body piercer, but the tattoo artists don't give a shit what this means to you. Because we're all covered up, and none of this shit means anything to us, really.
Wow.
Starting out, I would say my things that I would choose to get tattooed on me had meaning to me. Yeah. After a while, it's more what jives with my vibe. What fits well where I want it to go. Yeah. What is going to... We're really just trying to get under that needle and zen out for a while. At least me. I'm just trying to get under that needle and zen out. That's some of my super peaceful, calm time. As far as dating, I never really got onto... You've tried asking me a couple times about what it is that I attract, who it is that I attract. I think that, I honestly wonder, probably as much as you do, because I'm also quite a tomboy. This is probably the most feminine you've ever seen me. On the day-to-day basis, I'm incredibly tomboy. I, at work, wear a polo and some slacks.
Yeah.
When I'm not working, I wear a fucking t-shirt and some jeans normally and some Vans. And my mom is constantly telling me that maybe you should try to, you're such a beautiful girl if you just... I'm like, Mom, I'm not gonna change my style to appease someone. That would be fake coming from me. That would be me displaying something that I don't truly feel is me.
Yeah.
Like, if it's gonna take me until I'm fucking 45 to find the right guy that is willing to accept me as I feel comfortable looking, shit, I'll see you in 17 years, But I don't think that... I think an equal amount of different sorts of people will actually approach me. I do get a lot of tattooed, pierced guys, skater guys type, but then, also very clean cut and like uniform type guys and things like that. And I find interest in all different sorts of people too. I have always dated interracially as well. So color, size, profession, none of that really is something I'm specifically after. So I get into conversation and connection with a lot of different types of folks. And I think that no matter what walk of life they're currently in, a lot of the times I get people surprised at my conversation, my vernacular, the things that I actually have to say based on what they've seen.
Yes.
Absolutely. People tend to be surprised. Just like, whatever, man, I'm just over here doing me. People... A really awkward thing that I come across is people like to... I've had dudes, like, praise me for my state of mind, for, like, my mental balance, or the way that I see or view things. Excuse me. And, it's like I can't... What am I supposed to... thanks. That's... I was like, when you're really humble about it too, like, well, what am I supposed to toot my own horn at my own, that's a little bit strange. Like, people are so, I don't like to impress people. I guess that's what that is. I don't want to impress you. I want to spend time with you and be your equal. I don't want to be up on a fucking pedestal. And I'm damn sure not putting you up on a pedestal. We need to be right here on the ground together. You know what I'm saying? Or up on pedestals together, power coupling. That's fine. But, I don't...
the individuality that you embody, externally at least, like, it seems like it would be impossible for somebody not to at least initially put you on a pedestal. Because you're different in probably all of the best ways. Like, it feels like you play into almost every fantasy that a dude might have.
Oh, gosh.
In, like, the most, what would be the right word there? Like, almost the most, surface level possible. Like, it's like nothing about the way that you play into their fantasies about you is too extreme. Like, you're just the right, like, I don't know, like those what's that children's story with, like, the bowls of porridge? There's, like, the one that's too hot and the one that's too cold, the one that's just right. Like, you're just, of all the things that you have that appeal to some dudes, like, either intellectual or physical or whatever, you're just right in whatever the category might be. Like, you aren't too much of anything, and so that then becomes complicated. Like, how could they not put you on a pedestal where it's just like, are you all seeing how this chick is sticking the landing on, like, the way that she's embodying this particular thing, whatever the thing is that you just happen to be,
and
like,
yet here
leaning
I
into?
am, single as fuck, Adam. Here I am. It's like, I've also been told that I'm intimidating.
Yeah.
People are intimidated by me.
Yep.
I'm just a little, like, really?
You're so fucking healthy that it's like anything we say is gonna sound stupid next to any greeting that you say, because we're all trying not to display our insecurity. Like, we're all trembling from the first hello, but you're just so fucking zen. You're just so chill that it's scary. It's scary to, like, you're already so interesting to us that we're just like, God, I hope I'm interesting to her, and we just gotta try to find something funny or clever or witty to say just to win you over, to win your interest, because it's almost like being turned down by you just in a greeting. Just being like, hi! And you're like, hey, I'll see you later. Like, would be so devastating because of the pedestal that we already put you on, because there's a mystery to you. Like, just from a distance, it's like, damn! Because there's just a lot externally that's going so right and that's sending such a specific message that it's already just like, we're at a loss. We're like, I don't even have any idea, like, what...
Well,
I don't know which pitch is coming first. Like, I can't...
Yes. Thank you so much.
But then you
can't see it, but I'm blushing.
Then you get to know you a bit, and then you kick those walls down because you're so relaxed and so grounded and just so interested in other people. I'll watch you talk to somebody, and I'll be like, I'll be judging them on your behalf. I'm kind of like, I know that Crystal's just being nice to somebody right now. I know that person is not interesting her. It's not anybody that's like stimulating her in any way. I know she's just being nice to him, and yet I can step back and be like, I'm nowhere near as nice to that person as she's being right now, and giving of herself and all that. And it just makes me feel like, fuck, man. Like, on some level, I know you, and I get the rock and roll that you are, and to watch you strip your personality of the rock and roll that you are and just be fucking relatable is me just standing back being like, God damn it. Like, you're just really connecting with people in a way that I'm like, I'm kind of jealous of. Because, I mean, I'm not purposely aloof at work. Frankly, the reason that I am the way that I am at work is a few-fold. One, because for my first few weeks in that department, something that I realized is I'm not fast enough. And so, as a means of trying to compensate, I just thought, I can't afford to be social.
Right.
Like, I've really just got to plug in, and I've got to go as fast as I can fucking go, just to be in the same arena as these fucking producers out here. And then I almost left the company. Like, there was a minute there when I was in call center, which is where I came from, where, like, I wasn't doing very well. I have a very specific personality, and if you trigger something in me, like, I won't, like, yell at you, and I don't consider myself abusive, and I think any manager that's listened to one of my calls that wasn't great wouldn't call me abusive, but I am like a fucking ninja. Like, I'll say the right combination of words that'll make you feel fucking stupid for what it is that you're doing, and that doesn't work well with, like, a customer. So I was just getting constantly pulled into the office and constantly, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, to the point that eventually I was just like, to Cheryl, would it be easier for you if I quit? Yeah. Like, I don't want to put you in a position where you just have to fire me, but this isn't working. We've been doing this for, like, months. You guys aren't getting more happy with this, and I'm just less happy with the job. I fucking hate this. And so at some point, like, I mean, it was probably going to be within weeks that I was just going to go in and be like, hey, thanks for the opportunity, but I'm done. She pulled me in. I actually thought when she pulled me in, she was going to hire me. And she pulled me in, she's like, we've got a position opening in another department. She explained it to me, and I'm like, data entry is my fucking shit. I've done that in other jobs. Like, let's do that. And so I knew Mark, because Mark, like, personality-wise, I used to just eat, like, breakfast in the break room, and he just started, like, making fun of me about that. I eat, like, breakfast cereal and shit.
Right.
So we had this weird rapport. So even, like, going and sitting down with him, we already had, like, this thing. So when I joined this team, like, I guess there was some shame associated with it, where, like, this was, I guess, a last-ditch effort for our company to try to figure out what the fuck to do with me. So combine that with, within the first few weeks of me hitting the floor, I'm already not up to snuff.
Right.
I was just like, I need to put my fucking headphones in and just go. And here we are, like, 3 years later, and I've just kind of become this guy with a reputation of being quiet. Mostly because I'm just like,
I'm just trying not to get in your guys' way.
I gotta, like, I have to be valuable. And it takes me a lot more than it takes you guys to be valuable. But beyond that, I also do like the podcasts, and it gets a little socially complicated because when you're listening to, like, entertainers talk to each other, it's fucking fun.
It's great.
And then when you pull your headphones out and all you hear is people talking, just conversations that are just fucking dull shit.
Yes.
I just eventually am like, you know what, I'm just going to go back to my happy place because people are just dull. So it's...
This is what you guys are talking about here? Fuck that! Oh!
So
Absolutely.
But I've developed this weird reputation of being, like, aloof. And my point in saying all that is you really walk the line where, like, you can get lost in just watching you, like, bounce around to a good playlist while you're just, like, taking some shit to put in people's boxes or whatever. You're just, again, you've just got, like, that DJ energy, which is so fun. But then there's also times that I can hear you having conversations with, like, all the coworkers and like, cultivating these relationships, and I'm just like, this girl, like, how fucking impressive is that you can live both worlds and be, and I haven't figured it. And now I'm, like, way over in the corner too, where it's like, physically, I'm not even really close to anybody. Like, when I can stand up, and then I'm like
in the corner behind a pillar. For Christ's sake.
I'm like the only one with all those, like, panels up where, like, nobody can see me. I'm just back there.
Heart.
It's horse shit. So I'm impressed by, like, how you just maneuver in all those spaces really well. And
I appreciate you seeing that. I believe that it comes from a lot of my childhood.
Yeah.
I was a performer, and I grew up in, my household was good, my childhood was great, but we did have some difficulties here and there, and I ended up having to be sort of a performer at times to get attention, or being a caregiver to get attention. And I think that has followed me as I've grown, in sort of as, like, an older teenager, felt like I really had to be the life of the party. I was still feeling like I had to perform in order for people to fucking like me.
yeah.
And as I got older and into my 20s, I kind of realized, especially over the past 4 or 5 years, like, I don't want to do that. I actually feel icky when I'm trying to, or when I'm being boisterous, or being just this big, loud personality, because deep down, sometimes I'll trip up and say something that offends a person, or that just doesn't jive or sit well with someone, and I feel terrible about it. It's like, actually, I'm really more of an introvert that has kind of been forced into being this very loud, boisterous person. And so I appreciate that I can do that at work, that my position at work is such that I very much can, as long as I want, as much as I want, just be in my own world, doing my own thing. But I do also have it in me now to be that social, encouraging, kind, easygoing, very welcoming person. I can pull my headphones out and do that too, and then scamper back over and just, I appreciate, it's interesting that you see that, and I don't think I've ever even thought of it that way before, but that is something that I love about that job, is the fact that I kind of can do both. I'm comfortable there. Of course, it's not That job is nobody's dream job, but it pays the bills. It, takes good care of me. We got decent benefits and all that crap, and was able to purchase my first home with this job, and the people there aren't fucking terrible, which is a big deal. I mean, you're a pretty rad guy.
Thanks.
And I think we do okay in there for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, having been in 20 some odd jobs since high school, to me, it's the perfect job only because it doesn't require anything of me emotionally.
Right.
And
I also
sort of the construction element of it, where it's just like, here's a pile of shit you need to get done.
Do it.
That's what you get to do today.
That's
and then I just fucking plug in.
You don't have to depend on anybody else.
Go, and then clock out and go home. Don't think about it again until I clock in the next day.
I was gonna mention, you mentioned leaving call center, you had sort of like a shame.
Yeah.
I came from new business, is where I started in the company, and it was that same sort of thing. I'm very empathetic. My manager in new business, who brought me into the company, who's no longer with the company, unfortunately, who you are, she pretty much was just having like real talk conversation with me at one point, and was like, kid, I think you're just a straight up empath, and I think that this is kind of difficult for you because you're just going in these phone calls from one situation to the next, and you are feeling the people and the situations, and then just getting thrown into something totally different with a total different climate and tone. And it did get to be taxing on my soul, taking those damn phone calls. Call center, I can't even imagine, because you guys get a lot of bullshit. You're dealing with the clients as much, if not more, as, our agents. And of course, we love our clients, but they get so difficult. In new business, we are pretty much only talking to the agents. And they're grateful. They are grateful and thankful. We fucking pay them at the end of the day. They know they better treat us right. It's pretty easy peasy, but it still did get to be that taxing sort of, I'm leaving and going to my apartment in Tempe and just hiding. At the end of every day, trying to reboot. Fucking probably eating Taco Bell and a pint of ice cream. No joke. So it was when Julie and Patrick, when people started going over to the department we're in now, I kind of saw that and went, okay, and made the move, and I did feel shameful too.
Did you? Wow.
I did feel a lot of like I was giving up. Like I was giving up on taking those freaking phone calls, and being in new business is a very high energy, very high maintenance sort of department. Like they do a lot up there, and so I felt like I was kind of taking the easy way out, and there was a shame attached to it. But I always appreciated our boss in this department for being like, look, maybe it's not the hardest job, maybe it's not the most involved job, but somebody's got to do it. and we come here and we show up and we do it every day. So be proud of that. Get out of here, kid. Like, well, all right then. I can deal with that. I can get into that.
Every day I come in, I hope that that's still true. I hope that just the fact that I showed up and that I'm ready to just start fucking working is enough. That the company's like, we'll pay you to do this for the next 20 years. Enjoy just coming in, just having a place. Your place is right here.
We can do that.
As often as you can be healthy enough to get there, right? I'm just like, let's do it.
We will be there, dude. It's a cool space. It's a chill space. But I've enjoyed Phoenix since I've gotten here. It really did everything that I hoped that it would be able to do. With all my family being out here, I've built and rebuilt relationships with my family members to beautiful places, and built and rebuilt my relationship with my goddamn self, and been able to just kind of have my own thing going. And while the finding someone to share all of that with is a little taxing. I'm glad to be in a place that I can say, yeah, I actually am ready to be in a good, healthy, long-term relationship, and anything worth wanting or worth having is worth patience and waiting for. I know I'm such a
So
cliche,
true.
I'm such a bucket of cliches that you just want to kick over.
It's not even the cliche of it that bothers me. It's the fact that it's only cliche because it's true.
It's so true.
And that
And we're just fucking
I don't even know if I
impatient.
see like a point in my existence, in my maturity, in my development where I could just relax into what you just said and just like embody that. I think I'm always, yeah, you said it beautifully at the beginning of this podcast, like that need to just get off, that dopamine need to get off is something that just, it's the easiest escape from feeling lonely or feeling not seen or feeling not understood or so many things that they're all different things, and I feel like I'm struggling with a different one of them every single day.
Right.
Like I'm being choked by one of them every single day, that when I finally get this one's fingers free, another one just latches on. And so
Maybe you just might want to get used to being choked and kind of enjoy it. That's a thing. I'm sorry, darling.
It is a thing. Anyway, I had an ex that had some damage, and so some of that stuff. It was my first time in the bedroom dealing with that stuff, and
oh my.
It was kind of, I mean, in the sense that she and I were like, we'd been together, probably 6+ months at that point, so there was enough time in that, like, when that stuff started presenting itself,
There was enough rapport for it to
like I could
be okay.
I could engage with it, but
right.
I feel like I felt bad because I was just like, I don't feel like you're actually having fun with this, because I don't think I'm like, I got some abuse in my background too, and it makes me kind of a timid, submissive type,
That's
and so
like a cognitive dissonance.
I can't really lean in. I can't scare you aggressively enough that you want to be scared for your experience to be good.
Because I'm scared.
Because I've never stoked that fire inside myself, and I don't want to just flat out rape you right now because I turned on something in my brain, and I've never met him before, so now Hope took over, and we're just gonna have to ride this pony until Hope cools down again. So I mean, she never said anything, and she seemed like she had a good enough time, but it was always just a little weird, where I'm just like, I know I'm not being aggressive enough for you in that way. But at the same time, I feel like, sexually speaking, our relationship was something where who I am allowed her to, like, connect to some of her pain in a way that by the time our relationship was over, 2 years later, I think she was finally ready to, like, move on and look for, like, a really healthy relationship. And since then has, like, had a child and things that I think she didn't think were, like, ever going to happen for her and stuff. So on some level, I mean, I'm proud of what we accomplished in her life. I mean, random example. Not random. I mean, I guess maybe just the biggest example of it. Like, 2 years, a year or two after we split up, I got a phone call from her, and basically she told me this story about how, like, this person in her life that had been, a major cause of damage for her, had passed away, and, like, she spent some real, like, money to, like, get to the funeral, not invited, just, like, went, and really, like, stood up for herself in that place, like, really just said some things at the funeral that were appropriately condemning to a person who's their life is being celebrated, and she stepped in and was just like, okay, but this person's a piece of shit too, and like really laid it out. She's telling me this whole story, and I'm just like amazed by it. But the whole point of her calling me and telling me that story, she was just like if we hadn't been together, if you and I hadn't if you hadn't made me confront my shit in our relationship, if you hadn't pushed me to do all this shit that I just never wanted to do, I never would have dove into that thing like I did. And she's like, just how I feel now? You gave that to me, that I was chased out of that funeral, and now I'm just kind of free of it. He didn't get away from me. I was able to go and
that's fucking
shove
beautiful,
it. So in a
dude.
way, yeah, it was. I'm
intense.
Proud
and
of what we were able to accomplish in being partners like that. And I guess things like that just make me think. Frankly, I think most of my relationships, I can actually identify these spaces. Even though what I've talked about, because I kind of blow my load up front, and so at some point, it just gets stale. I feel like what I am is so intense and so vulnerable and so, permeating, that I don't think anybody can be with me without changing in some way that they weren't ready to, that they weren't comfortable with. It's just something that I draw all your shit out of you. I somehow all of your cards just get put on the table, and then I'm just a curious person. I'm a very loving person, so I start playing with your cards, and I start asking you, and I start getting to know you in ways that you've never exposed to another past relationship. Because most of the time people are like, "Oh, you deal with that." I'm not like that. I'm all in and very hands on and stuff. So, as much as it hurts that past loves have chosen to move on some level, I'm also just they may have never been complete enough to find where they are now and to enjoy the life that they have now if I hadn't showed up. And so as much as it's not fun for me that they moved on,
right.
I guess what I was able to give them, what we were able to accomplish together is really a beautiful thing, and something that I should take, I guess, some level of joy in. That it's don't diminish the gift just because you weren't the pot of gold at the end of their rainbow. You were the fucking rainbow. You're the thing
you were
that
the journey.
took
you were
them.
The rainbow.
You led them to their fucking pot of gold.
Yes.
And how many people live their entire fucking lives and never find the pot of gold?
Totally.
If you're nothing but the fucking leprechaun that leads them to the gold, if that's your entire life, what a fucking beautiful life to have all these humans that are just lost out in the vapor and mist of human existence, to have you find them out there and just fucking take them by the hand and lead them to I don't know if that's true, if I'm giving myself too much credit, but that's kind of how it feels to me.
I think you probably don't give yourself enough credit for that, because that's what, especially those of us who have had some hardships and are maybe a little broken in different ways, that's what we need is what you provided, a secure base to make us feel that, I can go out into the world and take these risks, and even if I fall, it'll be okay. I can get back up. I've still got my secure base. I've got my community or my super awesome boyfriend who is going to be there for me and, lift me up regardless. And that is something, even though, in that situation that you were speaking about, the relationship was over, sure, but you had given her enough of that security during the time that you were together that she still had that. She still had that sort of confidence and security in herself to be able to go and confront the fuck out of that demon. Which, shit, can somebody make a movie out of that? That was... Really?
Would make a good short film. For sure.
Good for her, and you probably did have a huge amount to do with that. To do with her having the confidence to go and confront that. So I don't think you're overinflating yourself in that sense, but I would also imagine, I mean, how many fucking times can you lead other people to their goal?
Yeah.
And then, have to make the journey back alone.
Yeah.
How tiring does that get?
That's a really perfect way of saying that. Yeah, you do kind of the journey back to square one. Yeah. You make by yourself.
All by yourself. And
sucks.
then look for another person and is this going to be the one, or am I just leading somebody else again? After 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, that's exhausting.
I mean,
and
awkwardly, it's gotten to the point where, like, if I'm like out with someone and things start to get like, or I just start to feel serious about this, or I'm just like, wow, I really like this person. Usually it'll just find its way into a conversation where I'll just be like, what's probably going to happen here? Let me tell you what has happened in my life. I'm going to tell you what's probably going to happen here. And then I just like out it. I'm like, let me just tell you where this is going to go. And I feel like most of the time that becomes a deterrent, where they're just like, well, I'm going to take off now, but thanks for your time, because it comes off, I guess, a little freaky. But the truth is, I've also told women that, and they've just been like, whatever, and they've we've continued to be together, and we've moved forward and stuff, and then it happened, and then all I can really just do is be like, well, at least I'm right. It's like being right is the dumbest thing. I don't know why anybody covets wanting to be right, because being right doesn't mean that you win. It doesn't mean that you get the prize. It just means that you have this distinct privilege isn't even the right word for it. You get the burden of being right. You get the burden of knowing what the truth is and what's real, of seeing where things are going to go, and I guess I just grew up being made wrong so much that I was like, I'm going to be right someday. And then, like, the more that I started being right, where I'd start, like, calling things, and then I ended up being right, it just surprised me that being right doesn't solve your problems. It's not that being... there's no...
That's not the prize.
Rush attached to being right that outweighs what you being right actually means applicably. Like what, like you basically, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like there's the things that you can be right about aren't oftentimes worth being right about. So then then you're lonely in that other way where it's just like, yourself so well. Self-awareness is a bitch. Because the better you get to know yourself, the more everybody else's shit becomes apparent to you. And so you can call other people out on their shit without almost even trying, because it's
right there.
It's bare to you, because when you introspect that much, it's just like X-ray vision. You just see everybody else's bullshit.
Absolutely.
So being right in those circumstances doesn't help you, because you being right about them is just going to make them uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
And off they fucking go, and then you're alone in your rightness.
Yep.
I feel like even Jesus on the cross is a perfect symbol of, do you want to be right? Because that's what right looks like. That's how right ends.
Ooh.
You just end up hanging there from your fucking rightness until you're dead.
Shit. I
It's
like
dark,
that.
but I feel like it's true.
Like that. My goodness. I think that's very valid. I had that point in my life where it's like, I see you, and I see you for who and what and how you really are, and I know that, and I'm calling it right now. And in the end, when you're, at your shittiest, I'm going to tell you about yourself. Yeah. I always, when I was younger, really wanted to tell people about themselves because I can see it. Yeah. It's very clear to me. I'm going to tell you so that you can go fix you and get over this bullshit that you're doing with your life.
Yeah.
That's not how it goes.
No.
It's very much the way you said. You end up very alone in being right.
Yeah.
You can be as right as you want, but there's no... It seemed to me you were trying to say there's
like reward. There's no
reward. There's no. You just don't get anything out of it.
No benefit.
Gosh,
no nothing.
No benefit to it. There's some delicious.
There's no win.
Word.
No win in being right.
There's no win. There isn't. It's something, a fact that you may have been correct about that probably 20 other people probably could have called to.
Right.
there's nothing special.
And there's that too, the Lennon thing. Like, there's nothing you could find that can't be found. Like,
totally.
The rightness that you now probably feel so proud that you were so, transcendent, so elevated that you found it. So fucking what?
Right.
Everyone's gonna get there.
That
Everyone's gonna get to that truth eventually. Like, it doesn't make you better because you got there first.
No.
It just makes you fucking lonely because now everybody else they're not ready for it. So now you're. I wonder if some of some of the most tragic cases of suicide in the history of this world are people that got to that point where they're just like, you know what? I now realize how much I've separated myself from the world by taking the time to climb that fucking mountain of right to get to the point where I know all these truths, and I don't have enough faith that they're actually going to join me, and I don't want to be fucking alone anymore.
Ultimate loneliness.
So I'm out.
Yeah.
I've separated myself from the fucking masses. I can't go back. It's not like the Matrix where I just reinsert me into the fucking Matrix. Ignorance is bliss. So totally. I'm out. I feel in the sense that I wrestle with suicidal thoughts and playing things out of my mind and having that as some very bizarre option in my life. When I wonder, why the fuck do you even toy around with this? And the only conclusion I've come to is because it's just I'm really fucking lonely in all of this, awareness, and I really don't believe that anybody else is coming.
Right.
I think people are trying really hard to get as fucking comfortable as they can be where they are. I don't want to move another inch. I don't want to walk another fucking step. I just want to set up camp here, and I want to make this my universe forever.
Yeah.
Which means that no one's coming. There's there's no support. There's nothing on the way. I'm just kind of out there in that weird space by myself. But to your point, the benefits of it are that in the moments where out in the fog I do happen to come across somebody that's lost and hurting, I either I already have the tools to help them and I can just start chipping away, or I just have the awareness to be able to just see what they need, and then I can just kind of help them find it. Yeah, just take them by the hand and walk them over to it, and then sit there with them. You ever seen that Pixar movie Inside Out?
Oh yeah.
With the fucking feeling, Sadness, where when she just sits down with fucking Bing Bong and he's all boo-hooing about having lost his fucking the wagon that him and her had all those problems in, or all the fun in, and Sadness is just yeah, that's really a bummer, and he cries it out, and Joy is back there just you guys are wasting time, what's going on here? Right. And at some point Bing Bong just gets up and he's hey, thanks, I feel a lot better, and Joy's just what just happened? Sadness is I don't know, I just sat down and listened to him.
That was
how even
the first
Sadness
time
doesn't even know, but that's it.
Right.
It's just that simple.
It's just holding the space.
It's fucking holding the space. It's leading somebody to the solution to their own problem, and then being willing to sit there with them while they rant and rave and cry and complain about it.
Without necessarily having to fix it.
Exactly. Just holding the space for them until they're ready to pick it up and do some shit with it.
Yes.
And then they pick up and do some shit with it, and you get to be in that joy with them when they're just we did it! And then they go.
Yeah.
And you're you gotta be fucking kidding me! Because it's such a roller coaster for you then to not. But I don't know, maybe that's. I'm almost 40. Maybe the point and what I get to do with the rest of my life, and almost kind of a kung fu, fucking Incredible Hulk, the TV series kind of way. Maybe I need to get used to just taking life by the connection, taking life by the relationship.
Just
let them come and fucking let them go. Don't worry about that. No one is showing up to complete you. No one is showing up to save you. You're fine. You're a wonderfully developed and highly...
Save you from what?
Skilled... From my own, loneliness. From my own feelings of inadequacy and insecurities. I'm always looking for a woman to make me feel like I can do all the shit that I already know I can do. By every day just showing up and being like, dude, your dick's still big and you're fucking awesome. Like, just say shit that's gonna make me feel good so I can walk out the front door and feel good about it rather than having to just look myself in the mirror and be that to myself. Just be my own pick-me-up. I don't want to be my own pick-me-up. I want dopamine. I want you to jerk me off and tell me it's awesome, and then I can just go off and be like, my life's great because this chick back here is telling me my life's great. And I'd rather see it that way than be like self-contained joy.
It sounds to me like I picked up what you're putting down 1,000%. It sounds to me what you're saying is that you want someone to come along and do for you what you've been doing for these women all these
100%.
years.
Yes.
How do you get there?
I don't think you do.
I
don't know.
I'm going back to those needs and boundaries. If you know that that's actually what you want out of a relationship, if you do want something that's long-term and lasting and fulfilling, and that's the kind of thing you want, that someone who can do that for you just as well and easily as you can do that for them, then I think it might be worth sitting down and thinking, okay, well, what does that look like? What sort of person would hold those sort of attributes? What sort of person, what do I need to feel that way, to feel consistently like my woman loves me and tells me my dick is great and all of those great things? What do I need to look for in a person that's going to give me that? And also, what boundaries do I need either with myself or between me and other people that will keep me from getting in these dopaminetic relationships where it's just a trigger point until there's just none left? Like, what do you need, or what do you need away from you that could maybe help lead you to that sort of person?
Yeah.
That's where I am, I think, in my whole quest for the person. Just trying to be true to what it is that I know I need from a partner or in a relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or a friendship. What helps me to be most comfortable? What helps me to feel I'm being most true to myself? You know, and what sort of bullshit characteristics that people display really send me into my triggers or into a tailspin or into being neurotically anxious and feeling like I'm not a great person, like I'm not the great person I am. What kind of stuff do I need to sort of avoid? And what sort of stuff should I maybe start to seek out? That's kind of how I go about my everyday, really. Just what's going to be good for me and what isn't. What's going to feed my soul and what's going to pull away from it, you know? I think that might be worth considering, sir. It could be. I mean, of course, it's never a perfect science that way. It's never, A plus B equals C that way. But I think for me, it's been worth like my strength in being able to put down the bullshit people who, they're showing me what I want to see and telling me what I want to hear. But deep down, I can see they're actually not what's going to be best for me. Those needs and boundaries that I have for myself that I've, taken the time to mull over a little bit are what have helped me to have that confidence and security to say, you know what, you're a great person, but I know in a couple months my triggers are going to be blown and this isn't going to work out. I know that, somewhere down the line, either you're going to have to change X, Y, and Z about you, or I'm going to end up a mess. And I know I can't change anybody. I know I can't fix anybody. So sayonara, good luck to you, and back on my merry way. But I think I've sort of had that kind of life too, where I can always hold the space for people, and it's something that, like you were saying about me peeling away hardcore punk rock exterior and just holding space for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen me do it.
Yeah.
That is a gift. That's something that I've had to come to see as being a gift. Just being able to... It also kind of creeps me out about myself. I won't fucking lie. And this is probably the first time I've ever actually told anyone that.
Oh, wow.
The fact that I can sort of morph myself into being relatable to just about anybody who comes into my presence creeps me out.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Ted Bundy. I feel like Ted Bundy sometimes. Like, I can really mold myself into being this totally different person than I was, outside this building. I came in here and linked up with you and just kind of morphed myself into someone who could relate with you. Mm-hmm. And I can go and do that on any floor in the building or in any bar or any restaurant that I find myself in. I can connect with a person and really open that space for them. And it's definitely a gift, and it's something that I'm glad I'm able to do for people. I've had to get to the point where I didn't feel like I had to fix people and just dial back and go, no, actually holding the space is enough. Mm-hmm. You're doing a lot for people by holding the space for them. Not everybody has that. Yeah. People that can do that for them. But it does kind of creep me out that I can do that. Like, what does that say about me? What am I really capable of? I think I'm really capable of some shit. Yeah. Yeah. That I have no clue about.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It's terrifying and very exciting.
Uh-huh. It's a superpower that's, very exciting and, yeah. And I don't know about you, I feel like I may not be able to really explain it in words, but I can feel when I'm sort of like tempted to use it for evil. Like, or to use it for my own gain or benefit. Like, I can feel myself, like, I can feel when somebody's just fucking putty in my hands. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe that dopamine, that need, that my own need creeps in, and now it's like me gonna like, turn the tables just ever so slightly for my own benefit. And and there are times that I catch it and purposely like back myself off because I feel like I am a decent person. And there's been a number of times that I've just been like,
full
fuck
force.
It.
Absolutely.
just move forward. And it's not me saying that I've ever like taken advantage of anybody, and it's not me saying that I think I've ever hurt somebody and then just intentionally walked away and been like, well, I guess I'll have fun dealing with that. Right. It's I just think that I think what it is the ways that I might have actually taken advantage of somebody are so fucking subtle because I haven't actually hurt them. Yes. Because the level that we're talking about, like the level of human consciousness on which I may have been operating, isn't a level that they actually
They weren't even tapped into that.
Yeah, like to them, X, Y, and Z happened. To me, I can see how I negotiated X, Y, and Z happening. Yes. Like I kind of leaned it that way. And so in those ways, I can be very, very critical of myself and being like, you bastard. But the truth is, I actually don't really have anything to like, I guess convict myself of because nothing actually really like they were willing, they were consensual, like nothing happened, but it totally did. I made that happen.
But
it was me.
Your plane of consciousness, you know that you had dealings in X leading to Y and taking the corner around to Z, while to the layman eye, it really just looks like those were the sequence of events as they occurred. But you know that there was some small thing you did, or some tiny thing you said, or a way that you just subtly looked at a person, or just little topics of conversation that you kind of just act like, oh, this just kind of came up, but you know you're building up. Yes. You know you're building up to a certain thing, to get this person to a certain place. It's disgusting. Yes. it's a gift.
And so fucking fun to like have that
It's
power.
so bad.
And be like, and almost on some level, those moments are as much to feel the need to have that fun dopamine rush as they are just to prove to myself once again that I actually even have the power.
Ooh.
When I'm in that moment and I see it, I'm like, can I still do this? And I lean in and it happens, I'm like, yes, I can. But then the next day, I'm like, you son of a bitch. That's not for you. Stop it. Stop it. It's not yours. It's not yours to play with. It's a gift. Use it to help other people.
Use it for
Oh,
good.
shit. This was like beyond the best way to like open the year of podcasting for me. Like this, every conversation this year needs to like, this needs to be the benchmark for like every conversation I have this year. They all need to live up to how epic this was. Thank you for making the time. Hanging out
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thank you for indulging. Thank you for indulging me.
This is fun.
Absolutely, sir.